Hi, Mom.
Oh. We are back.
Time. Yeah, that's us.
We're back.
That's us. How goes it?
It goes.
Goes.
How about yourself?
Goes well.
Cool. And nobody gives a fuck. So let's get to your disturbing fact.
Nobody gives a fuck that I got beautiful flowers for Valentine's Day. Yeah, that's all. Oh, wait. Okay.
Yes, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, they were lovely. Okay. My disturbing fact. Have you ever heard of Uncanny Valley?
No.
It's weird. My shoulder just popped. I'm sorry. You probably could hear that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the Uncanny Valley, it's a psychological phenomenon that describes the feeling of unease or revulsion when
I am familiar with that.
when something appears almost human but isn't.
I am very familiar with that. I have a lot of that in my life.
What do you mean? Describe this.
I don't want to say anything that I'm thinking right now.
Why? Say it. Say all of it.
No. You know, all of the things in my life that represent themselves as human that I find revolting.
Well, that's kind of sad and bothersome, I suppose. You better leave that in. So the term was first coined in 1970 by Masahiro Mori, who was a professor in Tokyo. And he was at the Tokyo Institute of Technology.
Fancy.
And so it's like, it's a negative response to something, right? So a lot of people...
I understand that.
Yeah, revulsion.
Yes. Usually that's what revulsion means.
So a lot of people I've heard, it like a lot of kids get freaked out watching Shrek. Because the characters in Shrek almost look human-like, but they're not.
Yes.
You know, like that's what that feeling refers to. Or the Polar Express.
I've never seen it, so I'm not relating.
Okay. Well,
but I have seen Shrek and 1 and 2.
And 3.
And 3.
Have you seen the fourth one?
No.
Shrek Forever After?
Nope.
Rumpelstiltskin's in it.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch it then.
It's so good. I love that one. They're all my favorite. I love Shrek.
They're all my favorite.
Shrek's one of my favorite movies ever.
It's your first favorite, second favorite, and third favorite.
And fourth favorite.
And fourth favorite.
Yeah. So the really weird part about this experience, this phenomenon people get and feeling like freaked the fuck out when they watch Shrek and like looking at Fiona because she looks human but isn't, is at some point during evolution, our brains had to develop a fear of something that was almost human-like. That wasn't really human. Which, how fucking creepy and weird is that feeling to think about?
That is. It's probably part of the, obviously, survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. It's like a survival mode, detecting predators, detecting danger. But
Bigfoot.
But it's weird and scary because it's like they're almost human.
Bigfoot.
Like, no, not Bigfoot, Mom. Bigfoot's like a Yeti. Is that
That's the same thing.
Abominable snowman?
Same thing. The abominable snowman just lives in the abominable snow area. And
yeah, but I don't think that those are human-like.
Yeah, they are. They like walk like people. That's why people are always like, oh, I thought it was a man, but then it ended up being
a Bigfoot.
The Bigfoot. I was going to say the abominable snowman.
I think it more refers to, have you heard the story of the Enochians? The biblical story? I don't know too much about it. I don't know too much about it, but the Book of Enochians, which is like before, the Old Testament, came before the Old Testament. The Book of Enochians basically describes they're giants. And you know how they always say like there's a lot of lore around the Euphrates. If the Euphrates were to not have water running through it anymore, that the things underneath it would come back to life.
I don't know anything about this. I would like you to do a case on the Euphrates.
Okay, then I'm going to stop talking right now. But the Enochians...
Forever? Please don't.
The Enochians are like human giants that aren't really humans, but they're...
Sorry. You're like looking over my shoulder like there's an Enochian behind you right now.
There's an Enochian behind you. Ah! No,
and
it's actually...
You're like looking up in the air and down.
It's actually my cat pillow.
Oh, your cat pillow.
Yeah, my cat pillow. I named her. I don't remember what I named her.
Well, that's nice of you.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the Enochians.
Yeah, they're like these human giant things. We will do an episode about it. I should actually put it in my notes on my phone right now, because that is something that is so freaking fascinating to me, is that story, because it's, it's like the same thing as the Bible, the Old Testament, the New Testament. It was written on these tablets, right, that somebody had to decipher. But it all goes back to, I think it's the Euphrates, that when the Euphrates dries up, we don't want to know the things that are underneath it.
Okay.
We don't want to know what's going to come out.
Okay. So can you go back to the phenomenon that's revolting without talking about the Euphrates?
Well, I've heard that I've heard like over history time that what that refers to, the uncanny valley, in evolution stance, in talking about like the times when the Enochians were on the earth. I mean, this is biblical, right? It's whether you believe it or not.
Right.
But that they're like basically these like giants that like bred with humans, and it wasn't great. And that's what's the Enochians and whatever, like the mixed product between that and humans are buried beneath the Euphrates, but they're not humans. That's where that phenomenon comes, is that, they are not actually people. They might look a lot like people, same as, Shrek and Fiona. I mean, Shrek doesn't because he's an ogre, but Princess Fiona, when she's not in her ogre form, Prince Charming from the second movie, all the people from Polar Express, that their faces look too human-like. For instance, you're watching all of the Disney movies, even as they're turning more realistic and less cartoony-like, they're still cartoony-like.
Yes.
Like their eyes are still giant, like Moana's eyes take up a third of her head.
Right.
A third of her face,
Like your friend Maddie.
My friend Maddie has lovely big eyes.
She does.
Yeah. She's got the prettiest eyes.
She does, and they're big.
Yeah. They're very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so does one of my cousins. She also has huge eyes.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's not, you can still decipher, like, those don't really look human still, but like the people from Shrek do, the characters from Shrek.
Okay.
That's basically, yeah, that people see it and they like, their brain freaks out because it's an evolutionary thing, that it's like, this isn't human. Why is this here? This is danger.
I like that. I mean, not, you know what I mean?
And I can absolutely understand that. Like, Shrek doesn't as much for me. They do look realistic, but I can like decipher that that's animation. But like the Polar Express, it's creepy.
I've seen the previews, so I do know what you're talking about. But no, what I was going to say that is cool or creepy is the evolutionary part, like how it goes so far back that it's just in our DNA.
Well, and there's, lore about like things living in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm sure you've heard that kind of thing too, that they're not, what bumps in the night is not human. So it's also that, knowing that instinctively, like shapeshifters could look human, but aren't really.
Right.
It's that embed in you to know that this is danger.
Yeah.
This means danger.
It's pretty cool.
But a lot of it nowadays is tied to, what's going on in animation. I mean, yes, some of it is obviously still tied to what's going on in the Appalachians, but apparently you're not supposed to talk about that. No, you didn't hear it. No, you didn't see it. You don't acknowledge it.
Okay.
I would also love to do some cases about that. Some of the instances going on there.
Do it.
It's creepy. I mean, I'm sure there's probably lore about the Rocky Mountains too, which we live literally in, like, that's our nearest mountainscape. But yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah. And it's wild how someone can study it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more on it having to do with, just it's a robotics thing. Well, and that's same too that people, okay, here's a great one. Here's a really great one. You watched that show with me before. What was it called? That dude, Dark Tourist. You watched Dark Tourist with me.
Yes, I have watched Dark Tourist.
Did you watch the episode where he was in Japan?
No.
Okay, so he did an episode where he was in Japan and he went to like Hiroshima with like, had to wear like a bunch of like hazardous gear and like walked around and like saw like the ghost town that is now Hiroshima. And maybe he went to Nagasaki. I don't remember. He went to one or the other. One or the other that were bombed, atomic bombs set off. No, one of the parts of it, he went to this hotel and working behind the counter was like a robotics woman. She wasn't a real woman. She was like a straight up robot.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll have to watch it. You'll have to watch that episode. That's another one of those things that's like looks human but isn't human.
Okay. Was she like real human-y looking robot?
Yeah. Oh, she looked like a person.
So not like the robot that brought us our food at the Korean restaurant.
No. Not like the little cart robot thing.
Okay.
That smiled at us. But it was it was just like two lines in a semicircle.
Yes. A digital smile.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like that at all. It's like a person, but it's a robot. It's like
C-3PO from Star Wars.
I have no idea what you're talking about. That means nothing to me.
Okay.
I've never seen Star Wars.
I know. I'm not a real Star Wars person either, but I do know what C-3PO is or who he is. But anyway, since you don't know, we'll move on.
Yeah, no, it literally looks like it's like a flesh suit with a robot inside.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah.
That just, no, it's so not like C-3PO because he's literally gold.
No, not like that at all.
Okay, but he's like human form.
You know, like the Avengers, when it's Vision, but not like as a human, but like he's like iron when he's not in his
human form.
Yeah, when he's like iron, it's like that.
Okay,
I'm gonna like that. He's a thing, but he's not a thing. I don't know. You're gonna have to look it up. It's really weird and interesting because I don't know. Like I said, like it doesn't really like Shrek is one of the ones that I've heard that bothers kids specifically. That they're like, this is not human, so I'm freaked out by it. But okay, yeah, Shrek scares kids, but like I said, like I can distinguish that I'm fine. Like I've never felt any kind of feeling towards Shrek other than happiness and joy.
Right. That is your favorite 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, my favorite quads. Favorite quad movie set. No, like Polar Express. That one is weird for me. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely worth a look.
Okay, and you're gonna do something on the Enochians.
Yeah, and I guess on the Appalachians.
On the Appalachians.
Yeah, okay. Creepy and weird. All right, what you got for me today? Since now we've almost talked about my disturbing fact for 13 and a half minutes.
Okie dokie. Well, I'll trim it way down like I did the other one. When I'm like, oh, we're 12 minutes in. And actually it ended up being like 9 by the time I cut all the bullshit. Ready?
I'm ready.
The woman, the myth, the legend.
The man, the myth, the legend.
The woman,
the myth, the legend.
Bloody Mary.
Ew.
Okay.
Freaks me out.
It does.
There's that episode of Supernatural that like forever is like ingrained in my brain. And like she comes out and it's like, ugh.
Comes through the mirror.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it was just too much. It's just too much.
Yeah, like, yeah.
But I do love a good Bloody Mary.
Yeah, Daphne makes a really good Bloody Mary. But one time she made them like with shrimp and all kinds of, like it was a meal and a alcoholic beverage all in one.
Yeah, I like hella loaded it up.
Yeah, it was very filling. I don't think I could finish my food portion of it.
Yeah, I put like salami and cheese and all kinds of different things on a skewer.
Foods on a skewer in a Bloody Mary.
And I think I put like a lobster claw in there.
I don't remember. I do remember there being shrimp and green beans and like whole. Okay, well, pickled green beans. But anyway.
I love a Bloody Mary.
Me too. All right, ready?
Ready.
Okay, so.
Ready? Okay.
So most of us know Bloody Mary, right? As the creepy game, because I mean, really game. But anyway, that most
game,
of us,
quote unquote,
right? That most of us played when we were kids or preteens. I don't know if you ever did, but it was definitely a thing in my time.
Back in my day.
That's
no,
good.
Because I watched Supernatural and I said, I'm good on this.
I'm not doing it.
I'll drink a Bloody Mary all day long. I will not do the game.
Right. So I'll explain it then since you've never participated in it.
Sounds good.
Okay. Or maybe our listeners, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I definitely say explain it.
Okay. So say you're like at a slumber party or something, right? Or you're just with your friends late at night and you dare
You could also be by yourself.
Yeah, but then it's not as much fun if you're alone. Because then you have no witnesses and you can make up whatever bullshit you want.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's better to do it's better to do it as a group thing. You're at the slumber party or whatever and you dare each other to summon Bloody Mary. So what you do is you go into the bathroom and you turn off the light and use a candle or something just barely to light the room, just enough to barely see your reflection in the mirror. So I guess today we'd probably be using the flashlight on our iPhones in the lowest flashlight mode.
Right.
So, but back then I'm pretty sure we used flashlights actually and just kind of mostly covered them up. I don't recall using candles.
I was going to say, I feel like most of the things you see about it, that you're supposed to use candles though.
Right.
Like when it comes
for real.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So you just barely light the room enough so that you can see your reflection in the mirror. And then you chant Bloody Mary anywhere from 3 to 13 times, depending on the rules of your group. Mostly I was reading that it was 13 times. I don't ever recall doing it 13 times. That seems like overkill.
Yeah, seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Seems like, yeah.
And how do you count? You're like, What number am I on?
Right.
Do you have to start over? I don't know.
It's too much.
Yeah, exactly. It
like
seems
way too much.
Overkill. Like I said, I mostly read that people do it 13 times, but I also saw 3. And then I also was thinking it could just be whatever you guys decide. It could be, like you say,
but
5
I think
times.
3 is the minimum.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say 3 seems like 3. Not enough. I feel like maybe 5 is a good number, but I'm not going to play, so it doesn't really matter.
Wasn't 3 like the devil's number?
No, that's 6. The
like
number
the witching
of the beast,
hour?
That's 2 and 3, or between 1 and 3. I don't know.
I thought it was 3 because like if your clock rings at 3, that means like if you
wake
wake up at 3, that means like you're.
I think it's between 2 and 3, and I wake up at 3 every fucking night. Between 2 and 3 every night, every fucking night.
Well,
somewhere between like 2:15 and 3:30 every
I don't
night.
go to sleep until 4 o'clock.
So anyway,
avoid waking up during the witching hour.
So anyway, if you're lucky or not lucky, however you want to consider it, whatever happens, Bloody Mary will appear as a ghost, a phantom, or a spirit, and she might be dripping with blood. She might not be dripping with blood. It's just a crapshoot which Bloody Mary you get, I guess. She may be holding a baby. She may not be holding a baby.
Where does this baby come into play? Are you going to talk about the lore of this baby?
I'm getting to the baby.
Okay,
I mean, not right now, but yes.
I've never heard of a version of a baby.
Yeah, I never heard of a version of a baby either. But according to legends, there can be a baby. So whatever you do, you're not supposed to stand within arm's reach of the mirror because she can grab you. But if she can't reach... You just freaked.
Much.
So, but if she can't reach you...
hairs are standing
I think this is worse. I think this is worse. So if she can't reach you, she might just scream at you, which would be scary as fuck. That'd be way worse than reaching. I don't know.
I might prefer the scream.
I don't know. They both might really be bad, but it seems like getting screamed at by a phantom in the mirror.
It might be like what's the word I'm looking for? You know, like, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, like when you're standing behind something, you're not in the same space when you can hear a scream, like it's like muffled.
A different dimension?
It might be like a muffled scream.
Because there's I bet it's a scream.
You think it's like a high-pitched, like,
I don't know. Please don't do it. I think it's a scary scream.
I think it's a scary scream.
In my head, I just picture it being
like, scream.
In my head, I picture it being like a shriek.
I don't like either one of those.
Okay.
But when you say she's going to like reach out and grab you through the mirror, like I have tears in my eyes. I'm kind of freaked out.
It's like the Steve Miller song, Abracadabra. I'm going to reach out and grab you. Yes. That's Bloody Mary's theme song.
Yeah. She's like, woo, magic.
Right. So having a bloody spirit screaming at you in the mirror, like I said, I'm going with no thanks on that. But you're like, you don't want it to reach out and touch you. I pass.
I'd rather have it scream than touch.
I pass on both. But so.
Well, you can't pass on both if you're going to do it. If it happens, it happens.
Well, there's that. Because, maybe she doesn't show up at all, which I guess is considered to be the bummer, but I don't know. I don't know.
I might prefer she just like doesn't make an appearance.
Right. Like, oh, I did it. It didn't work. Okay, cool. Let's go.
Right up. Let's go on vacation.
Right. Let's go play Yahtzee, a real game.
She was in a different time zone. She couldn't make it here.
Worst case scenario is if she reaches through the mirror that she can full on grab you and pull you into the mirror.
Then is she gonna like come out of the mirror and like pretend to be you and you'll be stuck in the mirror?
I don't know.
Because there's an episode of I'm joking, I'm sorry. There's an episode of American Horror Stories, that like one-off series of American, like it's like one-off episodes. Every episode is its own American Horror Story instead of a full season.
Right.
That's exactly like that. It's Bloody Mary, but then in the end, she's like in the mirror. The girl like goes into the mirror.
Oh, so she was living.
And then Mary comes out.
Creepy. So she maybe pulls you into the mirror, or maybe she just trades your soul for her soul. I mean, who knows what's really going to happen, or if any of it really happens. If you see her in the mirror,
apparently somebody lived to tell. She
will live in your mirror and haunt you forever.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to like fucking call her for a visit.
Right. I think none of those are best case scenarios.
Yeah.
Right? So don't break the mirror because you don't want to let her out. You want to make sure that she is in fact trapped inside the mirror.
And I hate all of this. I love it, but like I also like I just keep picturing the episode of Supernatural and then like their eyes were bleeding.
Yeah. We're both like rubbing our eyes.
I keep grabbing the back of my neck and rubbing my eyes.
So if you should survive this fun party game, this adventure that you've made into hell,
embarked on,
right? Embarked on. You're supposed to either draw a cross on the mirror with soap and leave it for 3 days. How do you explain that? You're like, no, Mom, don't clean the mirror. Right? That. Or you can burn sage to cleanse the space or sprinkle vinegar in the corners of the room, which I never heard of that. I've heard of salt, but not vinegar.
I've never heard of vinegar either.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard of vinegar. I actually am a great pickler. I love to pickle things, so I actually have a lot of vinegar in my life.
Oh, Daphne loves vinegar.
But not to, like,
use it as demons. Right, as a warding off substance.
Okay, tell me more about... Are you there yet to the baby? I want to know more about the baby.
I'll get to the baby. So the origin of the mirror game can be traced back to the 19th century. If you were a young lady...
That was the 1800s, yeah.
Yeah, okay. 19th century. So
sorry, my brain doesn't like that.
Okay. Back to the 1800s. If you were a young lady, you would go backwards up a flight of stairs. In a darkened house at night, Daphne gasps, backwards up the stairs. Sounds like a calf workout.
Did I send you that TikTok the other day?
Maybe, but maybe I didn't watch it. If you sent it.
The witches, why it's hard to date in the 1800s.
I don't think you did, but I'll go through our texts and look.
Oh my God. I will have to post this on our Instagram, download it and post it. I fucking died laughing. I cried. I was laughing so hard.
Did you pee your pants?
Almost, yeah.
Nice. That's the best laughing.
Yeah, it is. It was great.
So you go backwards up the flight of stairs in a darkened house at night, and you would either hold a hand mirror or pass by like a hanging mirror on the wall as you're going up the stairs backwards. And in the mirror, you would see one of two things, either the face of the man you were going to marry or a skull. And if you saw a skull, it meant you would die before you were married. So that's fun. That's another fun version. But I don't understand how that's really tied to the Bloody Mary game because there's no actual Bloody Mary, but there's death. So I don't know. But that's where it says that the origin of the game, and then it just evolved into the Bloody Mary thing. So now the person, if they see a skull, then they're going to die. I already said that. But,
yeah, or they could see the face of their future hubby.
Yeah, that's either way. I don't know. That'd be so
are they
weird.
Walking backwards up a flight of stairs? Is that what's going on?
Dude,
or
that's
are they being,
literally what I said.
Dragged? Because I was imagining them being dragged.
It says I
was like, how do you pay attention to what you're looking at in the mirror if you're literally like, if some invisible force is dragging you up the stairs backwards?
Right? You're like, hold on, let me grab my mirror before you drag me up this flight of stairs backwards.
Right, exactly what I was picturing though.
No.
Like them like kind of like levitatedly floating.
No. And I picture like somebody in one of those big old 1800s dresses with the
petticoat.
Yeah. And their hair in locks on their head or whatever. And they're walking backwards up the stairs.
The founding fathers hairdo.
With a little hand mirror or one of the big giant mirrors like on the wall, which I don't like all that. But anyway, we have a lot of mirrors in our house. But anyway, that's different.
But I think our mirrors in our house were, Dad's told me before, because I said that I don't like that, over our kitchen sink, that there's a window and then there's two mirrors facing each other because that means that there's a portal. And Dad said that it had something to do with the fact that the old people that owned our house, the owners before us, which were the third people that have owned our house?
I think so. But
Dad said that the second people that owned our house put in all those mirrors, they were like really religious.
Yeah.
That it was like it was a Catholic thing, I want to say. Dad said that he was very Catholic.
I don't know. I think Baptist or something. I'm not really sure. But I do know that it is a religious thing of warding off things.
Yeah, but I've also heard that mirrors facing each other is bad.
I like it because then I can see when Dad's coming in. I'm in the kitchen doing the dishes or whatever, and I see him in the mirror. I know he's coming.
Yeah,
I have a heads up.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't like it because apparently things can come through that way.
Thanks for telling me that. Never knew that or thought of that.
Yeah, Mandy and I were talking about it the other day because in her basement, she's got two mirrors facing each other too. And her grandson and his girlfriend will not go to that bathroom downstairs because the mirrors facing each other because they're scared of that.
Ooh, creepy. I'm going to have to look that up, but not right now.
Yeah.
Shall I move on?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
you're good. You're good. This is all what we need. We need interjection for entertainment.
About portals and mirrors.
Yes. So now the person who Bloody Mary is actually based on, even if there is a real Bloody Mary that's the inspiration for this game, is up for debate. Like, it could just totally be just made up and nothing more than a made up thing and not relate to
any one person.
Right, any one person. And like I said, I don't know how the origin of it, going from you walking up backwards with a mirror in your hand and seeing a skull or not, or seeing the face of your person, also relates to Bloody Mary. But it said that that was the origins of the game.
But it does, apparently.
Apparently, it said that that's where it came from. So I guess it's like the evolution of a game. Like how Jenga was little and then it all of a sudden became a giant Jenga.
Yeah.
That like we had to put on a tree stump in our yard. And if it fell on you, you get hurt, literally.
Right.
So maybe.
So you were there when it went down?
Yeah,
it was painful.
So anyway, one of the women who is possibly believed to be the origin of Bloody Mary, who she's based on, is a woman named Mary Worth. And Mary Worth...
That's not who I thought you were going to say.
...was a woman who many believed was a witch just because she lived in the woods in a small cabin and she sold tinctures and herbal remedies.
Just because she lived my dream?
I have in parentheses here, which sounds amazing, except the being accused of a witch part.
Right.
So you're like, my dream. I'm like, same.
Right. I'm like, I would love to do that.
Right.
Like, I would love to learn how to make tinctures.
And live in a little cabin in the woods.
Oh, it's literally a dream come true.
For sure, right?
With Bruno, my little French man.
So anyway, the local the local villagers didn't trust her, and they were afraid if they came in contact with her, they would wind up cursed. So as the story goes, local girls started going missing, and when they couldn't be found anywhere, the townspeople went to Mary's cabin and they were suspicious of her already, right? So then they're like, we know that you know where they are. And she's like, I don't fucking know where they are.
Like she's the fucking witch from Hansel and Gretel or some shit like that?
Apparently. So they thought that Mary all of a sudden had a youthful appearance also. And so instead of looking like an elderly woman anymore, that was somehow related to the missing girls instead of some amazing cream that I need to know about. But
like Mother Gothel from Tangled, Rapunzel.
I never finished it.
Yeah, I know. There's a huge problem with that. I would love to watch it with you one day.
Is a huge problem with
I love Tangled. It's one of my favorites.
Well, we need to not start it when I'm falling asleep. That's what always happens.
Yeah, when you're getting ready to pass out and I'm like, let's watch Tangled.
Right. And
I need some comfort in my life.
Snore.
You've also never seen Moana.
I have seen Moana. With the big volcano.
What?
And she's rowing and her grandma is her. Is it the one with the grandma and the big, she has a canoe? Yes, I've seen Moana. I just haven't seen the second Moana.
I thought you'd never seen Moana.
And who's the dude with her?
Maui.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
Maui's like a legend, but he comes to be real.
He's a demigod?
A demigod. There you go. Okay, my bad.
Anyway. I didn't know you'd seen it. I thought you'd never seen it.
I had seen it. So one night, the miller's daughter, and by miller, I don't mean Meet the Millers, but the miller, the guy who runs the mill, who grinds the wheat.
I was like, the Millers, okay.
No, so
the Millers, they were neighbors with the Smiths.
Like the sawmill
and
or
the Adams.
No.
We're on the other side of the Millers.
Like the sawmill or the wheat mill or a mill, right? So the guy who, or the daughter.
Operates the mill?
The guy operates the mill, his daughter was seemingly under a spell and she was following a sound that only she could hear, and she was heading for the woods and she wouldn't stop or come out of her trance-like state, no matter how much they yelled or how hard they restrained her. And her parents, as well as some other locals, followed her to the edge of the woods.
They just fucking hold her down.
Right? They just followed.
She's
they lasso her and just tie her to a chair.
Stage. She's just the fucking Hulk. Get off of me.
Apparently, she was Hulk-like.
The birds are singing. Move.
Yes, she was Hulk-like in her trance. So they followed her. It's okay. That's hilarious. They followed her to the edge of the woods where they saw a light that the girl was heading for, right? So they saw. Go ahead. There was a big gasp.
I just picture like this little like girl in a petticoat, right? Like maybe not a whole petticoat because
Like
they're
dressed
like
Laura,
townspeople,
right?
you know.
Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Yeah, sure. And just walking through the woods, and like all these people are following her. They're trying to grab her, and she's like just almost back. Like they like are flying up in the air, like.
Wow, Daphne's got the full animation going.
Incredible Hulk strength. It's funny.
It is funny.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It just makes when you said that she's in a trance-like state and no one could stop her. It's like they couldn't just fucking grab her.
Apparently they couldn't.
She's young.
Yeah, she's a girl. Didn't say how old she was, but she's a girl.
Yeah, well,
not a woman. Not a Hulk. Maybe.
Maybe.
A Hulk. Maybe a Hulk.
Maybe a Hulk. Apparently.
So they see that she's heading for this light, right? And that they saw that the light was coming from a wand that Mary was holding and was pointed right at the Miller's house. And a crowd had formed by this point, or a mob, if you will, I guess. And they grabbed their guns and they shot Mary in the hip, incapacitating her, which, like, why not just shoot her? But why shoot her at all? But anyway, and then, of course, they tied her to a stake and they burned her alive for practicing witchcraft. Of course. I mean, what else are they going to do? So
she's
as
like,
she
the
was
girl
dying,
who lived comes to die.
So as she was dying, she cursed everyone in the mob. And she would claim that if anyone uttered her name while standing in front of a mirror, that she would be back to get her revenge.
Okay.
So I don't know why you would do that if you would know that she was going to come back and get her revenge. But anyway, when the locals went to Mary's cabin, they found unmarked graves, which they assumed were the graves of the missing girls. But there's no proof that Mary Worth ever existed.
Right. She's a legend.
Right. So there's that. But it's a creepy enough story, right?
Okay. What are the other... Do you have other stories?
I do.
Of who she could potentially be?
I do.
Okay.
I do. And there were...
I want to know if you're going to say the one I think you're going to say.
Well, there's some thought about additional ones to the one I'm going to say, but it's really been demythicized, debunked.
Demythicized.
That sounds more fancier.
As opposed to just fancier. It sounds more fancier than demythicized. Is debunked.
Just add that to my list of Gaelisms.
Demythicized. Pulling up the notes app on my phone.
Yeah, we attribute that to Gaelisms.
It's called momisms.
Momisms, my bad.
Yeah, we got a lot of things in here.
So I think that I think the one that you're thinking of is not, I'm not going to talk about.
Well, do you want to name who you're thinking about?
Who you're thinking about?
Well,
I know
who
one
do you think I'm thinking about?
I think that you're thinking of Elizabeth
Bathory.
Yeah.
Battery.
Bathory.
It's one or the other. I don't know. It's spelled like Bathory, but if
she's Hungarian.
It might be. Why my brain almost said pronunciated? I was reading good Gaelisms.
Momisms it is.
Yeah, momisms it is.
But that's debunked, that it doesn't tie back to her.
How has that been debunked?
I don't know. It just said it. No, Elizabeth Balfour. Oh, no.
The
Bloody Mary thing. Because
except for that her name isn't Mary, so that's the most random aspect of it all.
Exactly. But
However,
there was a whole thing I read about like why historians don't believe that it's tied.
Why do you look like a fucking beagle?
That's nice of you.
She just has her ponytail and her hair split in two all of a sudden. Just holding it down like a freaking beagle.
Anyway, I figured that's who you were going to say, but it's not. Or Marie Laveau. That was the other one that I thought that you might think.
No. Not Marie Laveau.
Okay.
I did the story Marie Laveau, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
I didn't?
No.
Oh, it's on my list then of things I want to do.
Okay, good to know because she's also on mine, so I'll take her off mine.
But you could do her too. I would be pleasantly happy if you did her as well.
Would you?
One of us, yeah.
Would it please you?
But I feel like I did her.
I don't think so. I think I would fucking remember that shit.
I
think you're just thinking of American Horror Story with Kathy Bates. So in your head, you possibly wrote
Madame
that.
Delphine
Lalaurie. Oh, well, shit. But isn't it based on Marie Laveau?
Didn't I do what based on Marie Laveau?
The one from American Horror Story.
Yeah, that she was like immortalized by her.
Okay. Anyway.
Is that a word, immortalized?
Yes. Made immortal?
Yes. I swear I did Marie Laveau.
Well, we can go through our shit, but I feel like
I really feel like I did do Marie Laveau.
Pause it.
Hang on. Okay, that's debunked. I did start working on it, but we have not recorded it yet.
Right. So in Daphne's head, she has some notes, so she did it.
I'm like, no, we definitely talked about it. No, I'm thinking of Papa Legba. Yes, they're interconnected in the way of American Horror Story on that one season, which is where I've drawn inspiration of wanting to talk about the real stories behind them. Mm-hmm. Because American Horror Story has so much great stuff that was like based off of real life.
Rooted in reality.
Yeah, like the Black Dahlia was in a season. A character based off of John Wayne Gacy. Yeah. The Killer Clown. Yeah.
I don't think you need to go through the whole summary of American Horror Story.
I'm just saying.
Unless you just feel like you need to.
But I'm just saying that I think that's why I thought I'd done it, because I talked about Papa Legba. Okay. And they, yes, are from the same season. But no, Marie Laveau was not who I was going to say. I was thinking of Elizabeth Bathory. But you were thinking Marie Laveau when I think you were thinking of Delphine Lalaurie. She's the one that had all the slaves locked up and was like human experimenting on them. Yes, and putting their blood on her skin and
you're
stuff.
Right. But Marie Laveau's pretty interesting too.
She's the voodoo queen.
The voodoo queen.
Yeah, but she's not. I wouldn't have drawn that connection in my brain between her being Bloody Mary.
Okay. Well, she's not, so. Or not what historians believe. So I'll get to no, that's okay. Because I only have two. I had Mary Worth, and then I have who I'm going to have now.
Okay, but not Elizabeth Bathory. No. She's not on your list?
No.
Because that's the one who I've heard most commonly.
Seriously? Because I kept like trying to Google it because I only had two. And I was like, really? There's only two? Like I would think that Elizabeth Bathory would be one. And I would also have thought, Delphine
Lalaurie.
Yeah. But they were like, no. Historians are like, no, that's not it. But I'm getting to the second one, which is why this is what most people believe. Okay. And it's actually pretty interesting.
Okay. So I'm excited to hear, but that's, not who I assumed you would have talked about her.
Yeah. No.
But that's a fucked up one. But yeah, again, it's like, how did they draw Elizabeth to Mary?
Yeah. So anyway, the second choice, this is what most historians believe. This is based on facts, not on like maybe Mary Worth existed, maybe she didn't. This is a legit person that really existed. So so
we have records of this human.
Records. So it's Queen Mary I of England.
Oh, I feel like I have heard this before, but I don't remember the story.
Okay. Well, I'm going
to refresh your memory. Can I have that? Sure, there's a lot of Queen Mary.
Well, she's the first.
So it's the original Queen Mary.
The original, the OG Queen Mary.
The OG of the OGs of Marys.
That is correct. So she's who, again, historians believe is what it's based on. So she was the daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon. And King Henry desperately wanted a male heir, and he took extreme measures to see that through, right? Yeah. And Henry, the Duke of Cornwall, was his first son, born with Catherine of Aragon, but he only lived a few weeks. So he had this male heir, but then the male heir died. So Catherine failed to give Henry the son he wanted, even though it's really his fault because pre him knowing science that he's the one who's determining the sex. Yeah, that the dude's sperm is what decides it. But anyway, it was her fault.
That's one or the other.
It was her fault. So she had several miscarriages and stillbirths. And so he
said, off with your head.
Right.
Is that what happened?
So they had the daughter, they had Mary, yes, and they had the son who died. Yes. And they kept trying. And
the Duke of Cornwall.
The Duke of Cornwall, yes. And they didn't, she had several miscarriages and several stillbirths. So that was it. He's done with her, right? Yeah. So he declared his marriage to Catherine illegal and incestuous because she had briefly been married to his brother, Arthur, the Prince of Wales, which I'm not really sure, but I would think like, hey, I'm marrying my brother's ex-wife before you marry your brother's ex-wife. Maybe
you think about that decision first.
Right. And then you don't go, oh my God, wait a minute. This is incestuous.
Right. This is just too much.
Right. So after the marriage was essentially annulled because of King Henry, because he's the king, right? Yeah. And he's saying this is so and so it is. Mary became illegitimate because their marriage was annulled, which means like it never really happened. Right. Or it's different than a divorce or a beheading.
Okay.
So Mary was illegitimate and she went from being a princess to being just a lady, and she was separated from her mom. And I'm not sure exactly, like Catherine of Aragon was from Spain, and that was why she didn't get killed, because it would have been bad politically for him to have taken her out.
Okay.
So she was lucky enough to get to live. So he, after...
Like they always kill women then.
Yeah, they totally do. So after that, Henry married Anne Boleyn, and the couple had
I've heard of her, Anne Boleyn.
Anne Boleyn. So the couple had a daughter, Elizabeth I. And because Mary's not a princess anymore, she becomes Elizabeth's lady in waiting. So basically she's Elizabeth's handmaiden, right?
Okay.
So Henry and Anne Boleyn continued to try for a male heir, and Anne ended up having 3 miscarriages. And so towards the end of their relationship, he began courting Jane Seymour, and he decided, I'm not going to go through all this bullshit. We're going to have Anne Boleyn executed. So he accused her of adultery, incest, and conspiracy against the king.
And witchcraft.
No, but you might as well. Because he wanted to make sure that there was no way that she wouldn't be executed by just adding on all these charges, right?
Okay.
He couldn't say it was just this. He's like, oh, and this. Oh, wait, and she did this too.
Right. And she did this.
Yeah, and this. And so Parliament was like, fine, whatever, execute her, stupid bitch.
Yeah.
Even though, again, not her fault, right?
Right.
So, I don't know, weirdly, it's really thought that he did it because she couldn't give him the male heir that he wanted.
Right.
Not because of all the other things that he said, right? So he's already dating this Jane Seymour before he gets rid of Anne Boleyn. So right after Anne Boleyn is gone, he marries Jane Seymour, who was able to give him his male heir finally, right? So he gets Edward VI, is who the two of them had. But Jane Seymour died 12 days after giving birth, most likely due to postnatal complications, they think, because it was so soon after his birth.
Okay.
And then Henry married his 4th wife, Anne of Cleves, and this marriage was annulled after just a few months because there was a language barrier and cultural differences. And she also was lucky enough not to be executed because she also came from royalty. And so again, it's like, well, that'd be a bad choice to execute her.
Right.
And in their annulment, she actually got some property, and she was quote unquote honored with the title of being the king's sister. Like, woohoo, yay.
Okay.
Right? Because you just were married to this dude, and now it's like, just kidding, I'm his sister.
That's weird.
JK.
That's weird and incestuous.
Yeah, talk about incestuous, right?
Right, actually, though, that is incestuous.
So then he married Catherine Howard, who he had executed on the same trumped up charges that he had done for Anne Boleyn, right?
Okay.
And his 6th wife, Catherine...
I was like, what is our wife count now?
There's a wife count, 6. So his 6th wife, Catherine Parr, outlived Henry VIII. So so he only executed 2 of his wives in total.
But yeah, she lived longer than him.
Yeah, she lived longer. So obviously, this is going to be kind of stressful for Mary growing up in this environment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Henry, while he was doing all this murdering of his wives and whatnot and dating other chicks while he's still married and being pissed off that he keeps getting them knocked up and they don't either have boys or they have miscarriages or stillbirths. Because how dare they, the stupid bitches. Right. So stressful for Mary. And in all of this, Henry decided to pull away from Catholicism. He pulled England away from Catholicism, and he established the Church of England, which is a sect of Protestant.
I was going to say, isn't that Protestants?
Yeah, it is. So after Henry's death, Edward VI became king. So his male heir that he wanted, right?
Okay.
But he died only 6 years into his reign. And Edward tried to ensure that upon his death, his Protestant cousin, Lady Jane Grey, Protestant, right? Keep it the Church of England, that she would come into power and keep England Protestant Church of England. Like, don't get anybody in there that's going to take us back to being Catholic.
Yes,
we don't want
them Protestant.
Yeah, keep them Protestant. So with the flux of power in the government, he's like, no, she has to be the queen. Like, that's it. And so there's like this shift in parliament and everybody's like, well, fuck, what are we going to do? Because she's not his heir. So how's that shaken out, right?
Yeah.
So Mary took the opportunity to gain control and she led an army into London in 1553. And with this army behind her, she took power and she became the Queen of England.
Good for her.
Yes, except for in the spirit of her father, she had Lady Jane and her husband, Lord Dudley, executed.
That's really sad.
Right. She's like, you don't get to be queen and you're dead.
Yeah, you don't get to be queen and I'm going to kill you.
Right.
But then she kept England Protestant then, didn't she? Or did she turn it back to Catholicism?
Here we go.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So
because I think England is still pretty widely Protestant, I want to say.
It is. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So shortly after taking the throne, she had her half-sister Elizabeth, remember, the princess, imprisoned in the Tower of London for several... Why laughing? Why laughter?
Why laughter is because, have you heard of the stories that have come out recently about the boys that were in the tower, that were locked in the tower, and they were princes? Both of the boys that were locked in the Tower of England, or the Tower of London. I'm sorry, the Tower of London.
Like right now?
Their bones were found. Like their bones were found recently-ish.
No, but I know lots of people were locked in the Tower of London.
Well, they were the missing princes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why I was giggling. I was like, hee, did her bones get found too?
Dead princes.
Dead princes. No, they were young. They were like boys. They were like 6 and 11 or something like that.
Well, that sucks. But that also doesn't mean they're not going to become king someday.
Well, they didn't because they died.
Right. But obviously somebody probably locked them in there to prevent that.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. But I don't know because I haven't heard about it. So I'd have to look it up.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting.
Okay.
It's very interesting. Definitely a history lesson.
She had her half-sister Elizabeth imprisoned in the Tower of London for several months because she was Protestant and because, if you remember, Mary was also forced to be her lady in waiting, but she was unable to keep her there because there was no real actual reason for her imprisonment that Mary could prove in order for Parliament to be like, sure, we'll keep her there. They're like, no, like these.
Like just because you don't like her doesn't mean she's going to jail.
Right. Just because your dad made you be her servant because he said your mom wasn't really, that it was illegitimate. And so you weren't really a princess anymore. That's like not her fault.
Yeah.
And also because Parliament wanted to continue to be Protestant, right?
Yeah.
And part of the reason that she had her in the Tower of London because she's Protestant. So she married Prince Philip of Spain, like right after all this, like, or during this happening. And she pushed the marriage through Parliament and they resisted because, again, they're trying to keep the Church of England. But Mary really quickly wanted to marry this prince because she wanted to restore the Catholic faith to England. And she was desperate to produce a Catholic heir so that whoever... Like, we're going back to Catholic, like, fuck you Protestants. And I'm going to make sure that I have a baby with this Spanish prince who's Catholic. And that's going to be the heir. And we're going to stay Catholic.
Is it still Protestant out there today?
I think, I mean, of course, it's everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things.
It's not Catholic.
But
it's not Catholic. Unless people are Catholic out there, which they can be. They can be whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think, like, St. Paul's Church.
Cathedral.
Yeah, St. Paul's Cathedral. What is that?
I don't know.
What is the practice
I
there?
don't know. You would have to look it up.
I've been to a lot of churches in England because they're so beautiful. And I was trying to think. That's why my brain is doing this in circles. You know, I'm like, what is it?
Is it?
Because I know when the English were here and the colonies were happening, they brought Protestant over with, like, that was what was practiced here largely.
Right. And those heathen Indians.
Yeah. We're not doing that.
Right.
But I'm just saying that that's the practice. And that's what the South is still very heavily Protestant, I think, right?
No, the South is heavily Baptist.
Baptist, that's what it is.
Southern Baptist.
Okay. Isn't that an offshoot, though?
Southern Baptist? Or Baptist?
Of Protestant?
I don't know. But I know Lutheran is. Lutheran is like Protestant light.
Protestant diet.
Diet Protestant.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think about it. Sorry.
That's okay.
It was just kind of bugging my brain, but it's fine. I'll look it up. Okay, well, then I'm going to pause this really quickly and look it up. Okay, so we just looked it up because I was confused about St. Paul's Cathedral.
Which led us into a rabbit hole of other things.
Yeah, a million other things.
All religious related, though.
Yeah.
Not just random bullshit.
No, not random bullshit. All very much religion related. So St. Paul's, the signs that I've seen there says Episcopalian, which refers to a hierarchy in a church. It's not one denomination specific. It's just a hierarchy. And then it says Anglican, which is basically Protestant. I think that those are not necessarily used like interchangeably, but similar.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's Anglican. It's an Anglican church. So that's what my brain was doing. So I'm sorry. You may continue. She wanted to have a Catholic heir.
Yes. So she wanted, bottom line, she didn't want anything
Queen Mary, yes.
Yeah.
So Queen Mary said, no, fuck the Anglicans.
fuck the Protestants.
Yeah.
We're going to be Catholic.
Yeah.
So during Mary's 5-year reign, she only is queen for 5 years, she had about 300 Protestants burned at the stake for refusing to convert to Catholicism.
That's a lot of people. She's like, fuck you and your religion.
Basically.
That's
too
bad.
And her religious persecution also caused about 1,000 people to flee the country. I guess instead of being burned at the stake, they're like, fuck this, we're out of here.
Yeah.
This is how she became known and developed her reputation as Bloody Mary, right?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Mary...
She's like, I'm going to kill everyone. Right. That's why.
And this is all based on historical facts. So Mary was never able to conceive her Catholic heir. And after becoming gravely ill, she was forced to acknowledge that her half-sister was the legitimate heir to the throne. And after Mary's death, Elizabeth would be crowned queen.
The first Elizabeth.
Elizabeth I, yes.
Okay.
The first Elizabeth I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, but the first one of the Elizabeth.
The first one of the Elizabeth.
Because we just lost an Elizabeth.
Yes, we did.
The world did, not us personally. England did.
England, yeah.
I was also mourning with them, though.
Yeah, I know. She sounds cool, right?
She was great.
She drank gin every day and...
Yeah.
Yeah. She ruled like a queen.
Yeah, she was a straight up queen. Yeah. She was great.
For sure. Other than that, supposedly she didn't like Diana, which isn't really cool, but whatever. It's not who he wants. She wanted Charles to marry.
Yeah, but...
Other than that, but that's typical mother-in-law.
Yeah, I was not really queen. That's not really queen or not behavior. That's just mother-in-law shit.
Right, exactly.
But Diana was also super cool. So, way better than, what's her name?
Camilla?
Camilla, yeah.
Yeah.
Camilla.
Okay. All right. So historians believe that Mary was called Bloody Mary mainly based on sexism because she was the first woman in England to have total control over the throne. There'd never been a woman in complete control before.
Oh,
and
that's interesting.
And it was common practice for crimes against the throne to be punishable by being burnt at the stake. And so for Mary, people who were refusing to convert back to Catholicism or to Catholicism in general, that to her, that was a crime against the throne. So she was having him burnt at the stake, right? And this is how life was, right? So she was brought up in a patriarchal society whose means of control of the people was brutality. And she was just a woman doing it versus a man doing it. But men did it all the time prior to her doing it.
She's just the first woman.
Right. So she's just a big old bitch because she's a woman in power and she's doing exactly what everybody did before her.
Right. So they just cursed her name, basically.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Well, that's really sad.
Yeah. And so from all of that, I don't really understand why either woman would be behind the story in the mirror or relate back to a mirror going backwards up the stairs. So
walking, not being
drugged
by forces,
right?
That are greater than what we know.
That's what I came up with, and I feel like
where does the baby come in?
I think because she wanted, if we're going with it's Queen Mary, because she wanted a Catholic heir and she couldn't have a Catholic heir, so she has a baby or she doesn't have a baby, and she never had a baby, or she wasn't able to produce. It didn't say anything about stillbirths or miscarriages. It just said that she wasn't able to produce an heir.
Like she was
maybe barren or something. Yeah, maybe.
Totally.
Maybe. I don't know. And so, I don't know. That's what I came up with. And I was thinking my own personal opinion is to just further villainize her with Queen Mary or Mary Worth, who may or may not be real. But we know Queen Mary is real, just to further villainize her as the game evolves throughout history.
Well, okay. So have you said that there was debunking, though, for both Elizabeth Bathory and for Delphine Lalaurie, not Marie Laveau. That wasn't related, was it? Okay.
No, because I was trying
You just mixed up the names.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I was just trying to like give the whole history because as I'm researching it and I'm coming up with Mary Worth and I'm coming up with Queen Mary, that was my thing too. Is like, well, where the fuck does this baby come in?
I was wondering about those two because you just said you had an interest in talking about not Marie Laveau, I'm sorry, Delphine Lalaurie. And I would absolutely love it if you did because that's a fascinating, horrible, horrific human.
Yeah, she's terrible.
But I would be curious to know as to why, like, what is there that could possibly people are like, maybe she's Bloody Mary, even though it's been debunked, as you said. But like, why is her name even coming up in the conversation? And same with Elizabeth Bathory.
For sure, she's not because I looked her up specifically, but because I was confusing Delphine
and Marie Laveau.
Yeah, I looked her up and she wasn't. So
Marie Laveau, not Delphine.
Yeah, Delphine Lalaurie.
Sorry. Okay, we just looked it up. Yeah, there's no association.
But I could see, like I said, because I looked up Elizabeth Bathory and I looked up Bathory. There's no fucking L in it.
Balthara.
But she's Hungarian, so who knows how it's pronounced, like Hungarian way. But we're white and American, so I don't know. I'll figure it out when I do her.
What does being white have anything to do with it?
Because we just say stuff how we think it's said and don't worry about figuring out how it's really said.
And I think that's just an American thing.
Yeah, okay. That's an American thing, not just white.
Or it's just an us thing too. Like it looks like it should sound like this, so I think I'm just gonna say this.
Right.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, yeah.
That's why I said I kept trying to look because I'm like, I'm only coming up with these two people and one person isn't really real. And I feel like it could be this person, but they're like, nope, it doesn't. It's not that. And then
I wonder if it's like the Slender Man. Have you heard of the story of the Slender Man?
Yeah, I'm like.
But that it's, completely lore. But now people are saying that like it's come to life out of the lore. Like it's like you talk about a legend enough, it comes true.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying because she
wasn't really a person and it just kind of was something that happened and was like giggles and shits until it came true.
Right. And Mary was like referred to as Bloody Mary throughout history because of all that she did. But again, she just was doing what she was doing because she was the queen and they were like, well, you're a woman and you're killing a bunch of people. She wasn't power hungry. I don't think she was power hungry because it
sounds like you're power hungry if you're going to kill everyone who doesn't share the same beliefs as you.
Yeah. But to her, like I said, that was maybe she was, but to her, that was a crime against the throne because she's like, I'm the fucking queen. You're not allowed to be fucking Catholic or you're not allowed to be Protestant. You're going to be fucking Catholic. And if you're not going to be fucking Catholic and do what I say, because I'm the queen. So yes, I guess that is power hungry.
I was like, that's exactly kind of what you're describing as power hungry.
Wait, I rescind my previous
off with your head.
My previous statement. Oh no, not off with your head. Burn them out of the stake.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's.
I wonder if they had stakes through their hearts because remember I was telling you that lore about old England with the stakes through their heart.
Yeah, but they don't think they're vampires.
But no, that was so they wouldn't come back.
Oh. I don't know.
The stake through the heart
really
was
off the rails.
That disturbing fact I did was so they wouldn't come back to life.
Oh, I thought
you put the stake through their heart.
Okay. And any person?
I think it was like every person. Yeah, you put a stake through their heart so they wouldn't come back.
But the stake would burn.
Yeah, unless it was a metal stake.
That's a big old waste of metal.
A big old iron stake.
But I guess if it's metal, you can reuse it.
Yeah, I guess so. But if they're ashes, they're not coming back anyway.
Right.
Unless they reform.
Right.
So, okay, well, that was good. It. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of food for thought.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just kept looking and looking because I'm like, I swear there's other people that fit this definition or description or like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I really just think that it just was an evolution of the original game of walking up the stairs backwards, which was never Bloody Mary in the first place.
Right.
And then they turned it into this other game.
Right, quote unquote.
Yeah. And
quotes.
And then it like just evolved because everyone thought she was a big old bitch.
Because she was a big old bitch. So that's why everyone is doing what they're doing now. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I keep saying
I thought it was pretty interesting though.
It's very interesting. It's just a lot of thinking about who the fuck because
finish a word statement.
Well, it's finish a word statement. Well, my brain keeps going back to it. Probably really isn't either of them. It probably is the lore come to life.
Maybe. But throughout history, they did refer to Queen Mary as Bloody Mary.
Right. Or it was just enough of the lore come to life that then she's the one showing up in the mirror, you know, like she's literally being summoned from beyond.
Yeah. But it doesn't sound like her. It doesn't sound like a description of her, but who knows? Because I've never seen it. Her.
Me either.
I'm not going to try either.
I'm not either.
No, I don't like to think about that stuff.
I don't either, especially when we said she could reach out and grab you. Like that literally
like abracadabra.
Just made me want to like vomit.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny the secular the circles that we have run into doing this, that like you said that they burned people, she burned people, and I said the stake through the heart so they wouldn't come back in one, and was like, oh, I wonder if that was part of like the legend at the time when she was alive, you know, put a stake through their heart so they won't come back. Maybe. Because that would have like overlapped, I think, the time frame.
Maybe.
But and doing talking cases, about the Enochians in the beginning of this and then bringing it back to the religion and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, doing history is just, because your facts were rooted in biblical. Your disturbing fact was rooted in biblical.
Some of it, yeah.
Some of it, yeah. Well,
if
not
you believe it or not, but yes, some of the, if you believe in it as part of history or not, yes.
Right.
Regardless evolution, yes.
I just think history is cool. I like it when I like it when I can find stuff.
Thought-provoking, but I like it in the way that we just did it, that it's like we don't actually know the answer. Now we just have to think about it.
Yeah.
I spend the whole rest of my day thinking, who was Bloody Mary?
Right. But we do know that.
But I'm not going to ask and find out.
Right. Summon her. And who are you really? Inquiring minds want to know.
Right. Who are you actually? I need to know.
Okay. Well, you can follow us on the gram at That's Disturbing Podcast. Sorry, I almost said at gmail.com like you did in the last one. But our Gmail address is That's Disturbing Podcast at gmail.com if you want to send us an email case request or just tell us we're wrong about shit and we'll try to figure out why you think we're wrong. And yeah, any kind of email would be great. That isn't from Reddit, Quora, the New York Times, newspapers.com, Ancestry.
Right. All the different things we're subscribed to. Yeah, that's the stuff. You could also message us on Instagram too. That absolutely works. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.